Welcome to Quick Tables and Graphs. In this lesson, you will develop skill in the use of calculator or computer tools to study relationships between variables. You will also learn how to construct tables and graphs of pairs of values. Remember this rule, I equals P times the quantity 50 minus P? That predicted daily bungee jump income at the amusement park. This rule comes from the fact that income is computed by multiplying price by the number of customers. I is our income, P is our price. So in this case, P, the price per jump, and 50 minus P, the number of customers expected at that price, gave us our income. In this investigation, you will use rules to produce tables, graphs, and symbolic manipulations that help to answer questions such as this. What income is expected if the price is set at $10 per jump? Or what should the price be in order to get income of at least $500 per day? And what price per jump will produce maximum daily income? The windows down here are what your calculator screen might look like if you were going to graph this function. Notice that we use X and Y instead of I and P. Let's first look at tables. You can use computer software, which is what we're going to do, or a graphing calculator to produce tables of related values for the independent and dependent variables. For example, let's examine the table of sample data below from this website, desmos.com/calculator. Using the online computer calculator, desmos.com, we first type in the equation that we have, the function. Again, notice I'm using X instead of P because these programs really only recognize X as the independent variable and Y as the dependent variable. So what I could have done here is I could have also said that Y equals, and that would have worked as well. Now, say I want a table of values. This wheel here, this little gear, if I click on that, it gives me an option to convert this to a table. If I click on that, it creates a table for me. Now look at the points that it's created. It's gone from -2 to +2. That's a default, but it just gives me this little bit. And because this is a contextual example, that doesn't really make sense. So maybe I need some additional values. Maybe I really want 10, I want 20, 30, 40, and 50. When I type in these inputs, my independent variable, it produces outputs. And notice what happens here. It actually plots those points on my curve. Let's analyze our table. I've taken a picture and captured just the 10 through 50 as a price and put it here for us to analyze. So if we scan this table, you can see, for example, that with the price set at $10 here, 5-star expects a daily bungee jump income of $400, which is our output right here. If we continue to use the software to produce and scan the table for all these rules, we can estimate answers for these questions too. What daily income will result if the price is set at $19? Since I'm just estimating and I don't need to know the exact, I can look here and say, well, 19 is really close to 20. So my estimate is, almost approximately $600 or a little bit less. I could also go back to my table and type in a value of 19 and get the exact amount if I wanted to. How about B? To reach a daily income of at least 500. So where is 500? Well, it's somewhere between 400 and 600. In fact, it's about halfway. So probably right around $15 will get me at least 500. But then look what happens here. My income starts to drop right around here at $35. So at $35, I probably have 500 again. But if I go any higher, my income starts to drop. So the price needs to be probably at least 15 and no more than 35. So that helps us to answer this question. Why should the price be at least 14, but not more than 36? And we just answered that question. And we can tell by our graph, if you remember, it looks like a parabola. So our income goes up to a certain price and then it starts to drop back down. What about C? What price will yield a daily income of at least $300? Well, if I look at my table of values, again, I'm going to have a range. Well, anything up to perhaps maybe $5 will get me, or $5 or more, I should say, will get me an income of at least $300. But then right around here at $45, I'm going to drop below 300. So again, I would probably have a range of somewhere between $5 and $45. And we'll be able to verify that once we look on our graph. What price will yield the maximum possible daily income? It looks to me like the maximum possible daily income is going to be right in here. So maybe $20 or $30 will give me the maximum. I may need to look and see what 25 does, because maybe it'll go higher than 600. How would you describe the pattern of change in income as price increases from 0 to 50 in steps of 1? Let's go back and look at our actual graph. Here's our graph and our table. Look at our table. We start at 0, we go up in increments of $1. Look what's happening. And then we do skip. I could put this to 3, 4, 5, all the way to 50. That would be very time consuming. But can you see a pattern? What's happening as our price increases all the way up to $50? Pause the video and think about this for a little while, and then come back. Well, if we notice what's happening, initially our income is going up. But then at a certain point, our income starts to go back down again. And if we examine our graph, we can see how this looks visually. As our price goes up all the way to 50, which is right here, our income increases up to a maximum amount, somewhere right around here. And then it starts to decrease. So let's interpret our graph. What income is expected if the price is set at $17? Well, we can look here on our graph, and we can see here's 10, here's 20, 15 is right about here. So it might be in here somewhere. And if we come up, we can see that approximately we'll get an income of about $550. How about B? What price will lead to a daily income of $550? Well, that's just what we said, probably $17. How does the predicted income change as the price increases from 0 to 50? And we just answered that question, but now we can really see visually how our income is going up, 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 and then down as our price increases the entire way. What price will lead to maximum daily income from the bungee jump? Well, all we have to do is find this highest point right here to determine that at $25, we will receive a maximum income of $625. So, if this was my bungee jump company, I would set my price at $25 per person so that I could receive the maximum amount of income. And this concludes our lesson for today on how to analyze and create quick tables and graphs. You've learned how to create tables in the Desmos online computer calculator. You can also create graphs in your calculator as well. If you go into your calculator and you put in your rule, make sure to set your viewing window. You can display the graph in your calculator as well.